even fucking cry.
Monkey D. Goofy. D. Goofy. I'm just following this bad guy.
Why would they do that, bro?
Bro, because it's getting you ready. Yeah, no! What is good, people? It's your boy T-Rav. I'm here again. Another movie review. Right now we have Knock at the Cabin. And dog, I know that this one went under people's radar, but if you haven't seen it, you gotta watch it, bro. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. But like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Spoilers. If you don't know that, then you might not have been watching me. But I'll do non-spoiler reviews, okay? But this one, I won't spoil everything about the movie, but
Noise! Deceptions!
bro, there's just some things that need to be talked about, because I know this is a sleeper movie for a lot of people, like I was saying, right? Because we had Quantumania coming out. We had a ton of movies coming out in this like first bit of the year. You know what I'm saying? This first quarter has been kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? We had the Quantumania. We've had ones like Cocaine Bear. You know, we have Creed that's right around the corner. Shazam's right around the corner. Dungeons and Dragons right around the corner. We got a bunch of movies that I've already seen this year, like obviously, you know, ones that I hadn't gotten to yet, but you know, there's still the House Parties and the 80s for Brady review coming for that soon. Bunch of different ones, right? So it's a lot of stacked competition at the front part of the year in terms of movies. But where Knock at the Cabin excels, it's just different, bro. I mean, really and truly, this is another one of those movies kind of in the vein of Everything Everywhere All at Once or The Menu, where it's just a concept that's completely new and fresh, but at the same time, you can't exactly predict how it's gonna go, but you just know as soon as you step into this movie that it's a good movie. Really and truly, it's a bunch of no-name actors except for Dave Bautista, who I've been telling y'all, all right? Dave Bautista is the greatest actor that came from sport. Okay? It's not really close at this point. You know what I'm saying? All props to The Rock. All props to The Rock. And I really do feel that way, bro. But it's not even close. Like, this man is actually a legit actor, and he takes a role this time that's just, man, it just speaks to the selection of the roles that he takes now. We're beyond, what was that movie? I think it was like My Spy or something like that with him and the little girl. We moved beyond the Army of the Dead one that was directed by Zack Snyder or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He plays Drax and Marvel and stuff like that. But he's doing roles now where you can really start to tell that this nigga is legit, bro. And he's actually been doing that. If anybody's actually went and watched the show C, then you will know that he's that legit. But you really get to see it in this movie. But the reason why I was saying that this movie is so different, a lot of that has to come from M. Night Shyamalan. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with M. Night, right? Because he's responsible for Split, and I love Split. But then he's also responsible for shit like the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. No, not Avatar fucking Way Out of Water. No. The Avatar movie that we don't speak of. You know what I'm saying? The thing that we try to act like never existed. And then you have ones that he comes out with, like the old movie. Not gonna lie to you, I have absolutely no desire to go check out that movie. I probably will never check out that movie. Excuse me. Sorry. But I heard a lot of things about it. Not really anything good. So there's not a lot of incentive for me to go and watch the movies that, even if I haven't seen them yet, if people basically said it's a miss from M. Night Shyamalan, more often than not it is. But when he hits, the man hits, because in this movie, the setup is there's this family who is composed of a little Chinese girl who's adopted, pardon me if she's not Chinese, just saying, and then you have a gay couple, and that's the parents, right? And in this movie, we start off, the little girl's just catching grasshoppers out in the forest, and then Dave Bautista rolls up on her and is just talking to her and stuff like that, and wants to be her friend, and wants to tell her about how they're gonna do stuff today, that they're gonna have to make tough decisions, but just to remember, little Win, that I want to be your friend. I don't mean any of the bad stuff I'm gonna have to do today. She's like, what the fuck? And she's a smart little girl. She can only be like 6 or 7 or something like that, but she's hella smart. She sees that something's off, and other niggas roll up out of the forest. There's 3 other people: a black lady, this redheaded trucker-looking dude, and then this female cook, who just looks batshit fucking crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you, but they all look absolutely normal, except for Bautista, obviously, because he's a fucking Mack truck. But that's besides the point. She runs back to the house, tells her parents. They don't believe her at first, and then when homie comes and knocks on the door and is saying how he'd like to speak with him face to face, and how if they don't open the door, then they're gonna have to find their own way in. Then they see that the threat is real. So you are obviously already launched into this movie, and you have no idea what is happening. But you feel the intensity ratchet up because these niggas also have weapons and shit too. And when we first get into the movie, you see all these drawings and stuff on pieces of paper and medical charts and all types of random shit. But it's stuff that's like the end of the world. So you don't really understand what's going on right now, but that's kind of the setup as to where we're at. So they start breaking in the house. They hem up the couple and win. And then they break down the scenario like this. They say that humanity has been judged, and basically this is the start of the apocalypse. Now, you're gonna have to make a choice every morning if you're willing to sacrifice one of the 3 of you. Because if you sacrifice any one of you, all this is over, we're all good, we all get to go home, none of this ever happened. If you don't, then a new plague or a new form of devastation is going to wreak havoc on the world. And then once they deny them 4 times, basically the end of the world's here, right? And obviously they don't believe them, and who would? These look like normal ass niggas. They look like crazy ass motherfuckers who probably done fucking dipped into that cult shit way deep down in the fucking interwebs and the dark web and all that. These niggas look crazy as fuck because they look like normal people you'd walk past on the side of the street, but they're so damn convinced about what they're doing. And all 4 of them are so convinced, and they're all very different looking people, and they come from very different backgrounds. So obviously the couple is hella scared. They were worried for the child, and you can tell that they're both very scared for the kid, but you can tell that Andrew is more the aggressive one, whereas Eric is more the passive one. And throughout this time with them being captive or whatever, they're getting flashbacks at different points in their life and meeting each other and becoming married, and then even going to adopt Win. You can tell all types of struggles and things like that they've been through. And the way that Bautista and them break it down is that they have been the family that has been chosen that can either save humanity or doom its existence, basically. Obviously, they think it's all bullshit this whole time, but when they ask them to make the first choice, and they say, obviously, no, we're not sacrificing anybody, the guy that's super aggressive, the redheaded trucker dude, he gets super scared. But he tells him, like, you look at me and don't let this be for nothing. And he kneels down and puts a white mask over his face. And then the other 3 fucking kill this nigga. Bautista has a fucking pitchfork with an axe embedded in the middle of it. The black lady has a fucking hammer with a chain and a mace hanging off the bottom of it. And then the other chick, I forget what her weapon was, but like they all have like weapons, bro. Like it's, and not no regular sword or nothing. No, these is weapons that it looks like they made these bitches in the fucking backyard or something like that. But they devastate this nigga. He's dead. Then they turn on the TV. Tsunamis. And see, what's crazy is Batista told him the steps what's gonna happen. He said there's gonna be the waters is gonna rise, and then plague is gonna sweep the earth, and the sky is gonna shatter and fall like pieces of glass. And obviously, if you were to put yourself in that situation, right? When you hear that stuff, you're like, what the fuck? This nigga has lost his goddamn mind. These niggas is part of some Marilyn Manson type cult fucking nonsense. Whatever. These niggas is crazy. And nigga just gave himself up to be killed by the other three. Obviously, they're skeptical because they're like, oh, they knew that this was going to happen. They've been checking their watch all morning and stuff like that. And they probably timed this. This happened hours ago. They probably already knew this. Although, if you're thinking about it rationally, yes, that would kind of be my first thought. But once it happens again, I don't see how they could really time that shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because then the next choice happens. And this cycle keeps repeating itself. Every time they don't choose to sacrifice somebody, another thing starts happening to the world, right? So it's really wild, and you feel for the couple, and they're wondering why they've been put in this spot and all that. But you gotta understand what's happening right now, okay? The world is fucking ending, okay? And they said, you know, if you don't make the decision by the end, y'all will survive long enough to see this world really get burnt to fucking cinders. And then y'all are gonna walk around this bitch and live out the rest of your days until you die a horrible death yourself, all of you. And it's a weird thing because, like, you understand the position that Andrew's in because he's like, you know what I'm saying? He's the one that said it was more aggressive or whatever, and he's been like yelling at him and telling him that they've been, you know, timing this shit, none of this shit is real. He's trying to convince others and stuff like that. You know, Wynn's just scared, doesn't really know what's going on. Eric, in the first initial scuffle as they broke into the house, got a fucking concussion. So they knocked the fuck out this nigga, right? So he's not really thinking clearly. And once I think it was the second sacrifice happens, and, you know, Andrew's still so staunch in his belief, like Batista and the others go stand near a mirror, and then he sees this blinding light of some figure. I don't know, that might have been God his fucking self, dog. That shit's kind of crazy. But that's really the only supernatural thing we ever see take place on screen. So I like that because these niggas don't have no super strength. They don't have no nothing special. They literally are normal people. And they've come out here and they've had these visions of the end of the world. And they've had to live them out over and over and over again. So much to the point where now their mission has started. They didn't know who was going to be at this place. They didn't know who was going to be at this cabin. And these niggas is really just here by chance because of some fucking vacation. You know what I'm saying? They're not even really like, that's so 1 in a million, but they knew and they drew in their visions that they were supposed to come to this cabin. They did it, now they're doing the job. But like I said, I like the fact that it's the visions thing, we don't ever really see that. The only vision, quote unquote, thing is Eric looking at the fucking mirror and he's seeing that figure in it. But it's a blinding light. You don't like see a person or nothing like that. So there's nothing like overly mystical about this movie. So it does keep it grounded to a degree, but obviously they're stuck in the Revelation type shit to a degree. So it's a very interesting and fresh concept that I don't think anybody else has really touched on. And that's why I gotta give credit to M. Night, because like from just concept alone, it's sick. The directing in this movie, he's really in his bag, bro. Like some of the close-up shots, the pan-in shots, the eerie close-ups, even like low-key comedy at moments where it's not supposed to be comedy, almost like Joker-esque. If you watch that Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, there's a couple of dark humor moments in this movie where you're like, that shouldn't be funny and it's so tense right now, but it just is. So, gotta give all credit to him for that. But as this goes on, you're starting to learn more and more that these are just regular people. Bautista is a coach for like, some second graders that live in LA or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the movie, you see a picture of him with his whole class, and they're proud or whatever, and he's got his glasses on and shit, looking like a coach, right? And then you find out about the white lady, and you thought that when it was her turn to be sacrificed, she was just saying stuff to get out of it. And she was obviously hella scared. She was saying all that, but she said, I have a son. So, I'm next up, and I don't want to do it, but I get it. Just please make a decision so my boy doesn't die. They thought she was just saying stuff. And then with the black lady, she's a registered nurse. She even goes out of her way to heal Eric, because obviously he has a concussion or whatever. She wrapped up his head. But she explains the whole time, it's like, we're just here to kind of keep you safe, to let you make the decision. And yeah, Wynn tries to run away one time and Bautista tracks her down and brings her back, but they never hurt them. They're never trying to overly hurt them. They only inadvertently hurt them when they try to run away, right? They're supposed to just keep them there, not to make the decision for them, but so they can make the decision themselves. And O'Bannon, who is the first guy that was sacrificed, we found out that they actually knew him because he actually assaulted Andrew years ago when they were first getting to know I don't think they were getting to know each other at that point. I think they were already well established, but they went out to some bar and they were talking, and O'Bannon overheard them and was like, can y'all shut the hell up with all that gay shit? Basically, that's what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? He looked like that type at that time. And Andrew gave him the business. It was like, tell him like, oh, what was that? You got a problem? Yada, yada. Homie walked away, or it looks like he did. He turned around and fucking cracked him with a beer bottle. Then cracked him with another one. So clearly, he got assaulted back in the day. He took classes and whatnot to get good in self-defense and all that. So I like the steps that he took in his life after that to make sure that that type of situation didn't happen again. But you can clearly tell that he's kept that chip on his shoulder, and that's probably not, I'm sure that's not the only instance of some crazy shit happening to him. That was the most extreme, it seems like. So he has this mentality of, we're gay, we're not wanted anyway, and niggas literally target us just for being who we are. We can't even be who we are out in public. So I'm not gonna believe that all of this is just some coincidence that y'all just randomly came out here and y'all aren't targeting us because we're gay. And so I understand that mentality, but what would the motive be for four people that different? You could argue that maybe they're so different all across the board, but that's the one thing they have in common is that they hate gays. But if they're gonna do crimes like that, why would they conjure up some big old story like that? It just doesn't even make sense. But I understand why he interpreted it as they were targeting them. You know what I'm saying? But the people continue sacrificing themselves throughout the movie. And the second time that someone's sacrificed, a deadly virus is unleashed upon the world called X9. It's basically like COVID or whatever. And you see the news reports of that stuff. And then third sacrifice happens. Planes start falling out of the sky. Like 700 planes just fall out of the sky. None of them sent distress messages or communications or anything like that. They just fell out of the sky all over the world. And then with the fourth one, Bautista's the last one. And he finally does his best to convince them that all the stuff that they've told them this whole time is real. Because, Eric, by the end, believes him. But Andrew still doesn't. But Bautista nails him down and he figures out like, oh no, you believe, you just don't want to admit it. So, I'm going to go ahead and take this one for the team. Do what you got to do and just save the world, bro. Save my kids. I got all these kids. It's my job as a teacher to guide them. And the little stuff that he would say throughout the movie was just so good, bro, because it explains exactly who it is. He's this big menacing tank of a man, but he had his purpose in life. He was a teacher. He was assigned this crazy task, and who knows if he has any family of his own, but he cares about them kids, you know what I'm saying? He took real ownership of the fact that anything you say to kids, a lot of times they take it as truth. He viewed that as a very big responsibility, and he wanted to guide them on the right path. But now he's having to do something that's probably against everything that he feels, but I'm sure he's thinking about these kids, and he's like, if there's not going to be a world that they can live in, then what's all the stuff I've done for? Like, I have to give it my best shot. So you really are humanized to all these people, including the O'Bannon dude who fucking assaulted homie back in the day, because he, you know, obviously still has his temper or whatever, but he said it in the beginning of the movie. He's got a job at an electric company. He's been doing better after he got out of jail and all that stuff. So it's like he was turning his life around. At the end of the movie, they find his badge in the car that they came in. They found a picture of Bautista and his kids. They found the picture of, you know, the girl and her son, and then the registered nurse badge. And by the end of the movie, you start seeing more planes falling out of the sky where they are, and then lightning starts coming down in the forest and just burning all types of shit up. Bautista had killed himself for that last wave to come, and he said, y'all still only have a few minutes to make this right, but it's up to y'all. No one knows why y'all were chosen, but maybe it's because the love of your family is so pure that you're the ones meant to judge humanity and see whether they deserve to keep going. Because, bro, anybody would probably want to stay with their family. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. And that's super, I don't know, bro. That's hella powerful just because would you really be able to give up being in, like, the love of your life and then the child that means everything in the world to you? Would you be able to do that for a whole bunch of people that have just given you the business your whole life just for being who you are? Like, in that sense, you know what I'm saying? I like the message of this movie a lot. I really, really do. I can't relate to the struggles of a homosexual. I can't. I'm not gonna lie to you. But you understand that. The fact that the world has beat them down so much and now they have this position. They made all these choices. Cost all these lives. It's really and truly, they're fine. Their family's fine. But these four random people from these four walks of life doing regular everyday jobs, they're dying for no reason. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people are dying from this virus in a day. 700 planes are falling out of the sky with all types of people dying from that. Tsunamis are being unleashed across the world. How many people died for them to make this call? I understand that. It makes sense it took them so long to do it. But by the end, when Andrew said it to himself in his mind that, like, okay, they're not full of shit, but he can't overly admit it, it's Eric, the one that has to come to him and say, I know what to do. You're going to have to do it. You know, I want to be around. I want to see Wayne grow up. I know that she's going to be perfect because, like, he had even saw in that light what she's going to be and how their life's going to go on after. And he makes the call as the world is ending and the skies are getting black as shit and the lightning's coming down, burning everything around them. You got to do it. You got to kill me. So go ahead and do it before I change my mind. And they had sent Wen off before to be in her treehouse. But she's a smart little girl, so she knows what's happening. And then you hear the gunshot in the distance, and Andrew comes to the cabin as the skies are clearing. And Wen asks, did Daddy Eric save the world? He's like, yeah, he did. And that's like, that's so powerful, bro. It's so powerful. Just because, yeah, like I said, for them to have that position and still be able to come to that conclusion, that just shows you the good in people, bro. And that shows you why humanity chose them, or God chose them, or whoever, but that's why they deserve to keep on going. But I do think that if I had a little nitpick with this movie, it's just a little one. I would have liked to see him react more once he finally figured out, after it was all done and he picked up wind and, you know, everything's calming down. When he really and truly realized that all that stuff was real and how those 4 people were actually the 4 horsemen. What about the consequences of the decisions that you made? So that was like, I'm not gonna lie, that was a sick way to portray them, because they said that, you know, Batista is guidance, the nurse is healing, the mom, who was a cook, she's supposed to be nurturing, and then the 4th one, O'Bannon, is malice. You know what I'm saying? And no, they didn't fucking over fantasize it and making crazy as fuck, but these niggas were horsemen, bro. So that was like all that stuff going on in this movie, and the way they concluded it was just perfect. The setup was super fresh. I've never seen the horsemen depicted like that, where they're not super powerful people. They're literally giving you a choice, and your choices is what's gonna eventually bring on the apocalypse anyway. So that was really cool, bro. That was really cool. Dave Bautista acts his fucking ass off in this movie. The rest of the no-name people, they all did solid. I'm not gonna say they blew me away, but they did really good. But the directing just goes crazy in this movie, bro. It's just, when you got a great concept like this and just people that know they role and is playing it, I like it, because I don't think any other actor like took me out of the movie or anything like that with their performance or anything like that. Everyone seemed normal and believable. You know what I'm saying? So, sick movie. If I was to rate this one, I give it an 8. Like I said, I think this is one of the sleeper movies of the year, dog. So if y'all haven't gone to check it out, try to catch it before it goes out of theaters. But at this point, it probably is leaving the theaters. But definitely watch this as soon as you can, bro. It's a must watch. It's a new, refreshing concept and idea that I haven't seen before. Let me know if y'all have seen something else like it, and let me know what y'all think about Bautista, where he ranks as an actor. Do you agree with what I said about him being, you know, the GOAT when it comes sports to, you know, acting, really making that transition, right? And what did you think about the characters in this movie? Who was your favorite horseman? How did you feel about Eric and Andrew? And then even their whole, all the backstory that they dropped on them so subtly throughout the movie, which I thought was sick. And even Lil Wyn showing how, no, they're not perfect. And even Wyn wasn't, because she had the cleft palate, but she's had hella surgeries and she looks normal. She can be now, and she's smart. It's just, there's a lot of good stuff in this movie, bro. Like I said, it's a lot of good stuff in this movie, but let me know what you thought about the family, the horsemen, just this whole concept, bro. It's like I said, I'm pretty blown away with how unique this one was. Not a super ton of action, but the pacing is great. And it's hella intense. It's just suspense. That's really the only way I can describe this movie. But you're gonna enjoy it if you like good story and good acting. But wow, I went much longer on that than I intended. But like, comment, subscribe, baby. We bring in more. We bring in more reviews, baby. I'm on my movie shit right now, dog. I gotta watch Creed 3 in a couple days. Just watch fucking Dr. Cabin and Cocaine Bear and 80s for Brady. But I got a lot more coming, so I'll catch you on the next one. It's been your boy T-Rav, and I'm out.